Hello, Grace. Welcome back to our reading plan. Today is July 16th, and we are back in the book of Isaiah. We finished up the Psalms yesterday. Congratulations. And now we're in Isaiah 18 through 23. Now, Isaiah is broken up into 6 different sections and different purposes for the writing that Isaiah has. And there's a first half and a second half. The first half is prophesying of judgment and hope for Jerusalem, and then that's chapter 1 through 12, and then chapter 13 through 27 is judgment and hope for the nations, and then the next section till chapter 39 is the fall of Jerusalem, fall of Israel, and then there's exile, and then the hope of the future kingdom, and we'll get to that later. But we're in the middle of the section where Isaiah is prophesying against other nations. We see Ethiopia mentioned, Egypt, Edom, Assyria, Babylon, Tyre, and Jerusalem even. So there's all these countries are prophesied against. And there are common themes in each of these sections. And it has to do with their pride in other countries, their pride in their idols, their idolatry of money, of war, of other gods. And it has to do with the way that they treat other people, and so there's this common thread that it's prostitution of themselves out to other gods and other nations and other peoples, and their hope is in something that is not God, and so that reflects in how they are living and how they are going to be judged. And we have this really interesting section in the end of chapter 19 after he talks about Egypt and Assyria. Now, this is interesting because, the Israelites believed that God was going to restore Israel and the Jewish nation, and that all other nations were kind of subservient to them. But in this section, it says this: in that day, 5 of Egypt's cities, verse 18, will follow the Lord of heaven's armies. They will even begin to speak Hebrew, the language of Canaan. And one of these cities will be Heliopolis, the city of the sun. In that day, there will be an altar to the Lord in the heart of Egypt, and there will be a monument to the Lord at its border. It'll be a sign and a witness that the Lord of heaven's armies is worshipped in the land of Egypt. It said the Lord will make himself known, verse 21, to the Egyptians. Yes, they will know the Lord and give their sacrifices and offerings to him. They will make a vow to the Lord and will keep it. And then it says this: in that day, Egypt and Assyria will be connected by a highway. The Egyptians and Assyrians will move freely between their lands, and they will both worship God. And then it says that Israel will be the third, along with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing to the midst of the world. So he's saying that Egypt is my people, right? Egypt is my people. Assyria is my people. I have made them, and they are mine. And so this is a interesting passage because it brings the Gentiles into the kingdom of God as being even first and second, and Israel being third. And so this reminds us that God is for the Gentiles. Jesus came for us. We don't have to be Jewish. We don't have to follow laws. That's what Paul was saying in Galatians. Is saying you came to know God through grace. You came to know God through the power of His Spirit, but now you're going to be perfected by works, by becoming Jewish. That's not how it works. And so God is saying the same thing here: is that Gentiles are going to be freely worshiped. Yes, they're going to offer sacrifices. Yes, they're going to worship in different ways, but it doesn't say they have to become Jewish in order for them to be part of His kingdom. It does say that they'll start speaking Hebrew, but that's more so that they are going to start looking like the people of God. Not necessarily becoming Jewish, but they're going to start imitating God's character in a way that honors Him. So that's an interesting section. Then we have an interesting section in chapter 20, and that's where Isaiah is walking around basically naked for 3 years as a testimony to Jerusalem that if you follow Egypt, if you give hope, your hope in Egypt and Assyria and anybody else, you're going to become like them, because they're going to be led off in nakedness and shame. And this is a testament to you. Do not put your hope in them. And this image, this preaching image he gives, is very powerful for understanding God's purposes and His passion for Israel. Then it keeps the rest of the message about God bringing low these countries just reminds us of the importance of relying on the Lord. What are we putting our hope in? Do we have pride in something else? Do we have idols in our lives? And so when we read this, we can say, yes, these countries are punished because they're not following God, but in what way am I prostituting myself out to other gods? How am I elevating things like money, security, home, like, even my love for my country? Am I elevating those things above God? And so these countries warn us. We need to make sure that our pride is not in ourselves. We need to make sure that we're not looking for other countries or money or idolatry to make us feel whole. We need to make sure that we are in line with what God has for us. So I pray that you will recognize that God does have a purpose and a promise for Gentiles. We are in his kingdom, and we are beginning to worship him and look and reflect his character. I hope that you enjoyed the reading today. God bless you.